Record Residential, the Clocktower at 461 2nd Street in San Francisco, California. In today's tour, we visit the home of Andrew Littlefield, whose loft was redesigned by Jeff Burris, principal of Studio 12 Architecture. Our first question was for the owner. Andrew, what was your overarching vision for the design of your home?
I really wanted to go with something very minimalist and something that was also relatively timeless. Something that could have been created in the 60s, 70s, perhaps not the 80s, but certainly the 90s or sort of in the 21st century.
Jeff, meeting your client's desire for a minimalist aesthetic didn't preclude you from making one big design gesture. Tell us about it.
The one big move on the space would have to be the glass wall. The initial genesis for the project was Andrew's request for a minimal project, something that he had mentioned. But I'm looking at it more from domestic ritual, how the space lays out, how procession of one space to another happens. The glass wall then became a datum for a number of different things. It allowed us to sort of filter light through the space evenly. There's glare in these loft projects due to the one large window at the end of a long space. So it functioned in that respect. It also worked in that I was allowed, I afforded a long processional entry to a loft, which you don't generally get. You slide along the glass wall and then you come back into it as you get into more private sections of the loft.
Speaking of procession, the design of the space calls particular attention to passageways from one area to another.
It's always been an important factor to me that you announce passage from one space to another, particularly if the use is different. I don't necessarily believe that you need to sort of announce the transition from kitchen to dining as much as you do from living to bedroom or from private bathroom. Whenever entering a bathroom, I feel very strongly about announcing that passage. Here we actually took it to a literal extreme in that we built these 1-inch boxes that sort of announced each room. Now this one going to the private bedroom at the top of the stairs is the most prominent of them.
Andrew, tell us about your favorite detail.
The slats, as you walk into the main corridor on your right, have little holes cut in them, and they're a little nod to picket fences. So it was sort of kind of a joke, where we could have just had a completely set of sort of flat planes. We broke them up with circles, and then we got lucky in terms of, I found an artist that I really like, Simeon Nielsen, whose artwork sort of complemented those circles.
Let's take a peek inside the bathrooms.
Because the space is relatively short, the bathrooms were done as these kind of monolithic ideas. The lower level bathroom is all china black slate running from floor up to the side of the ceiling. The upper bathroom is a glass tile that, in order to sort of emphasize or de-emphasize the shortness of the space, we ran it along the floor and then up the back wall. This is also a product of his quest for minimalism. He said no countertops. The toilet downstairs was from a prison supply so that we could keep everything stainless in there.
Last question for you, Andrew. How did you know that Jeff was the right architect?
Getting together with Jeff and seeing some of his sketches, it was pretty much an immediate click. We had spoken to a couple of other people, but they all sort of wanted to do Starbucks light or go sort of heavy industrial. And Jeff was the first person I saw that came in that sort of had a delicacy of touch.
And finally, Jeff, what lessons for your practice did you take away from this design project?
I think what I learned was that don't be nervous about trying some big moves. I had come into my practice thinking that I wanted to sort of push people to spend money on those things that they touch and not waste money on other things. But this project turned me in a way, and because it taught me that you can sort of make a big, bold statement and then have everything else sort of work as subfamily to that. And so I always reflect back on it, and I'm glad I've stayed friends with the couple that live here because I get a chance to come back and see it and see if I met my goals. He did want this to be a timeless project, and I think when you do minimalism, you can be timeless or you can be boring, and I think we balanced that one well.